Hello, my dear grade 9 students. How are you today? I hope everything is fine. Welcome to our lesson in English 9. I'm Deborah Albuera, your subject teacher for today. Guaranteed, you will have a wonderful time in today's learning session. So, what are you waiting for? Sit back, relax, and get your activity notebook as we go through in today's lesson. Our lesson will be on biases and prejudices. Our most essential learning competency is differentiate biases from prejudices, and these are our learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to make judgment on given scenarios, differentiate biases from prejudices through examples, weigh information to make decisions, and supply correct answers to given exercises. Now, why do we have to study biases and prejudices? At your age, you are already very familiar with the adage, no man is an island, aren't you? We have learned to live not only on our own, but also with the presence and help of other people. As we interact others, some circumstances are not always warm and accommodating. They are sometimes accompanied by rejections and discriminations. Sensitivity towards other people's feelings and situation is a huge factor that will lead us to live in a world where equality reigns. But before we proceed to our lesson, let's have first an activity, and I call this activity Game of Logos. Here in this game, I will show you different logos of famous organizations, companies, or products, and you have to identify the company's name or the product's name or the organization's name based on the logo presented. So, are you ready? Okay, let's start. Oh, that's very easy. What is that logo all about? Yes, it's the logo of the Department of Education, DepEd. Very good. You give yourselves a round of applause. Next, what is that logo? Do you have any idea? Oh, that's not Rusi, sabut-sabut lang. Yes, correct. It's the logo of Yamaha. Very good. Next one. Hmm, the crocodile is very catchy. Yes, it's the logo of Lacoste. And their number one endorser is Novak Djokovic, the world's number one in men's tennis. Next logo. Oh, very familiar. Yes, correct. That's the logo of Jollibee. Bida ang saya. Next one. Ah, wow. That's the logo of Apple, the makers of iPhone and MacBook. And we're down to our last logo. Wow, what's that? Yes, Judgmental. Yes, it is a segment from the noontime show Eat Bulaga. So you got the correct answers. So give yourselves a virtual hug. Yay! So how did you feel about the activity? Was it interesting? Did you have fun? Now let's take a look once again to the last logo. Bawal Judgmental. Now what comes to your mind when you see this logo? Was there a time in your life when you caught yourself prejudging others? Uh-huh. Do you consider yourself judgmental as well? So, if you are judgmental, then how will you judge these dialogues? I don't want blacks living in my neighborhood. I don't want Jews owning businesses in my town. I don't want a Muslim community center in lower Manhattan. Do you believe that the statements, or do you believe that these statements show fairness and equality? If your answer is no, then it means you are good in detecting prejudices. But what made you say that the dialogues show prejudices? So let us define what is prejudice. Prejudice, this refers to a preconceived opinion or feeling toward a person based solely on their affiliation to a group. This feeling may be translated into action by discriminating against the person or members of the target group. An individual may be prejudiced against others based on factors such as race. So, race, whether you are American, Asian, African, European, factors such as age, young, old, teenager, retirable, senior citizen, sexual orientation, gender, class status, religion, nationality, and among others. The examples: I don't want blacks living in my neighborhood. I don't want Jews owning businesses in my town. I don't want a Muslim community center in lower Manhattan. These examples clearly show that there are prejudices going on. The statements prejudge against black people, Jews, and Muslims basically because of their race, nationality, and religion. Even though they have not done anything wrong yet, but because of their backgrounds, people tend to prejudge them and eventually discriminate them. These are very common in our society even up to the present time. Now, there's a term that causes confusion and is often used interchangeably with prejudice, and that is the word bias. But these two terms differ from each other. Let's examine how it differs from the former. Bias. Bias is a tendency to lean in a certain direction, either in favor of or against a particular thing. To be truly biased means to lack a neutral viewpoint on a particular topic. Somewhere along the line, bias took on a negative connotation. If you're biased towards something, then you lean favorably toward it. You tend to think positively of it. Meanwhile, if you're biased against something, then you lean negatively against it. You tend to think poorly of it. Examples. Examples of biases. Number one, in other Christian sects, the preacher position is only given to males and not to females. Number two, sectarian schools only accept students who share the same religious beliefs. And number three, some churches don't accept women who wear pants instead of dresses or skirts during their services. In the given examples, a certain group or people is given favor than the other. In number one, males are given more power or authority than females. Number two, students who are interested to study in a school but don't share the same religion can't be admitted. And lastly, women who want to attend church services aren't allowed to go if they don't wear the prescribed clothes for the said services. So you can now differentiate biases from prejudices. So let's try these exercises. Examine the images closely. Identify which image shows bias or prejudice. Number one, what is that? Bias or prejudice? Yes, you're correct. That's prejudice. Why prejudice? So, a man believes he is better than a person with disability by laughing at him. Next. Next picture. It is bias, gender bias, since the male gender is given superiority over the female. Yes, correct. That is prejudice. Boys making assumptions because of their different social and cultural backgrounds. And the last one, 6-9. Okay, it is bias. Someone can be biased depending on which angle he views the situation. So, is there any question or are there any questions? Ah, okay, so you want more exercises. Okay, so let's have a second round of exercise. Study and evaluate whether the following scenarios contain biases and prejudices. Write bias, prejudice, or none. Some Muslims are assumed to be terrorists and sometimes discriminated. So, what is your answer? Okay, very good. That is prejudice. Number two, Jews during the period of Hitler were sentenced to death because Hitler himself despised Jewish people. Oh, no, that's not prejudice because we're talking about Hitler's biases or biases against the Jews. So the correct answer for number two is bias. Number three, a teacher who gives good rating to her students who shares the same religious belief with her. Okay, very obvious. Number three, it's bias. Number four, a married couple living in a new country where they are free to attend to any of their church service. Okay, the answer is none. No bias, no prejudice. And the last item, number five. Tom Cruise's affiliation with Scientology prompts all kinds of negative press. So, what's your answer? Correct. It's prejudice. So, for sure, you are now very well oriented and well versed about biases and prejudices. So, before we close our today's lesson, check yourself first using a fishbone organizer. In your own words and understanding, differentiate biases from prejudices. So let us now proceed with our evaluation. So I want you to prepare one for a sheet of paper and let us answer the questions. So here is the instruction. Choose the correct answer that is best reflected on the given scenario. Write only the letter. Number 1. Denying someone a promotion because of a sexual orientation. A. Bias. B. Prejudice. C. No bias or no prejudice. Number 2. Firing a woman from her job upon learning of her pregnancy. A. Bias. B. Prejudice. C. No bias prejudice. Number 3. Offering higher pay to a newly hired Christian physician over a mainstay Hindu doctor. A. Bias. B. Prejudice. C. No bias, no prejudice. Number 4. Putting up a greater number of washrooms in airports for females than males. A. Bias. B. Prejudice. C. No bias, no prejudice. And last item, number 5. Being not invited over a classy neighborhood party because of their ethnicity and origin. A. Bias. B. Prejudice. C. No bias, no prejudice. Okay, time is up. Let us check your answer. Denying someone a promotion because of his sexual orientation. The correct answer is letter B, prejudice. Number 2, firing a woman from her job upon learning of her pregnancy. The correct answer is letter B again, prejudice. Number 3, offering higher pay to a newly hired Christian physician over a mainstay Hindu doctor. The correct answer is letter A, bias. Number 4, putting up a greater number of washrooms in airports for females than males. Correct. It's letter A, bias. And number 5, being not invited over a class or neighborhood party because of their ethnicity and origin. Of course, the correct answer is letter B. So I hope you all got a perfect score. Congratulations to those who got perfect score, and for those who got 2 below, you study more and study harder. So for your assignment, on a clean sheet of bond paper of any size, compose a personal prayer for people who have been prejudged, have been discriminated, and have experienced biases in life. It is preferably a prayer with a minimum of 50 words. Please be guided by the rubrics provided for this activity. So here is the rubrics. Creativity and originality. For you to have very good, the prayer is creatively and originally crafted. Deep thoughts are put into words and the ideas and emotions are uniquely conveyed. For grammar, for you to have very good rating, grammar is properly observed. For fair rating, creativity and originality, the prayer is creatively and originally crafted. Grammar, it has minimal grammatical errors. And needs improvement if your prayer appears to be done in rush, the ideas and emotions are weak, and it has erroneous grammar. So that ends our lesson for today. I hope you had a wonderful time. So please allow me to deliver my final word. It is from Walt Whitman. Be curious, not judgmental. That would be all for today. I hope you had a wonderful time. I shall see you in our next learning session. Once more with feelings, this is Deborah Albuera saying thank you so much for watching and stay safe everyone.